was wrong actually. It's actually that area over there where the first area that we walked past. You can see that's, I don't know if you can see it on the map there, but it's...
So the area we just passed over in the far corner was the squared off area?
That's the squared off area, so that's 1/7 of the circle that's been
1/7
flattened in order to demonstrate their knowledge of dividing a circle into 7, which requires derivative geometry.
Which is a very advanced and difficult mathematical equation.
Right.
Okay, what about this area we're in now?
So some of the stones obviously are missing. They've just put concrete bollards where the stones, but stone holes have been found.
Oh, those were original spots for giant stones.
Stones in here.
Okay.
You can see it's a gate post through there. There's a big manor house that's hidden away behind the trees back there.
Okay.
And the manor house was 1700s. The lord of the manor. The first archaeologists came here, the lord of the manor, helped to preserve some of the stones that were remaining, but quite a lot of them have just been quarried away. And they've probably ended up. Some of the stones have also been damaged. We don't know. I mean, at Stonehenge, the stones are all nicely cut, and they were at one time polished. But obviously here, they're much more rugged. Some of the bits, I mean, that cut might be the result of medieval quarrying attempts. There is something to notice. It's not very evident here with these big stones, but if you go further around, there does seem to be an arrangement where, of the original stones that are still standing, you'll find that there's a diagonal shaped stone next to a more upright and pillar-like stone, and this might be a symbolic representation of male and female. Like you'd have a wider diagonal diamond-shaped stone as the feminine stone, and then the more phallic stones being the masculine stone.
I see. Okay.
It's a theory that. So that one's been carved. That's like medieval people cutting the rock.
So this was not the original shape when this was constructed.
It would have been more similar.
This was thousands of years later.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I take a quick look at the moat?
Yeah.
So this was in some locations 30 meters deep.
Right. Or 30 feet.
Or was it 30?
It was 7 meters.
Was it 30 feet? Okay.
Pretty deep.
It's still pretty close to that. Even with all the silt that's been filled in, it's still pretty close to 30 feet down there.
There's been inquiries over the years about whether there was water in it or not. I think the conclusion is that it was filled with water and that it was lined with chalk, and then filled with water. The water would have been shining because of the white rock underneath the water. What function does it serve? There are some people suggest that the mound or the dike that runs all the way around was actually like a stadium that people would stand or sit on the bank, looking out over the moat.
I could see that.
Something would be going on in the centre of the circle. Certainly it wasn't defensive. The mound isn't a defensive
No, it's
mound.
not high enough. Or
the way around, as people say, is that it's no good having the ditch on the inside. If you're going to have a fortification, you've got to have the ditch on the outside.
Right.
The mound on the
Yeah,
inside.
it's not designed for protection. You can see that.
Yeah.
So the elevated height on the outside of the mound would be more advantageous for the spectators. They'd be elevated to see what's going on inside. Are there any theories or actual evidence of what kind of ceremonies they were having here?
Yeah, don't know at all. At Stanton Drew, which is the second largest stone circle after Avebury, and the stones at Stanton Drew are very similar to the stones here.
That's the circle that you had mentioned was mostly
Bristol,
destroyed.
Yeah. Inside that stone circle at Stanton Drew, there were 9 concentric circles of upright timbers, exactly like we saw at Woodhenge, but larger, much larger than Woodhenge. And there was also at one time a ditch and a dike all the way around Stanton Drew, conjecture there at Stanton Drew was that the post holes were holding metre-wide tree trunks, which may have extended 2 or 3, 4 metres high above the ground, and that this was an artificial forest in which there would be some kind of hunting sport taking place, and that far from it being a kind of spiritual thing going on in the stone circle, it was a sporting event, and the people who stood on the mound all the way around to be able to see over the top of the tree trunks, the timbers inside the circle, in order to be able to see the action of their favourite hunter from their tribe chasing down a deer in this artificial forest. Wow. So potentially something like that might have happened here.
Alex, this is the first I've ever heard of
right.
Neolithic, thousands of years ago, humanity attending and having sporting events.
Right.
And
right.
you're proposing that these sporting events might have been originating around hunting events, like
right.
letting loose some game inside a circle, and then letting the competitors go out at them.
Yep.
So this could be one of the earliest forms of sport.
Yes, there is a contender for a even earlier form of sport in what they call the circus, which just means a circuit or a course, which you would have passed at Stonehenge. There is a circus. It's 1.5 miles long, and it's just a trackway in the ground that's defined by very low banks on either side of it. But it looks like it might have been a running track,
or foot race,
or maybe a hunting track where they drive animals down a track, and then hunters are at the other end,
running after them, or no, waiting for them
at the other end.
On the other end, gotcha.
Yeah. But no one really knows. But there are remains of, I don't know, at least tens of circuses around Britain. They were a very important feature of the Neolithic landscape.
So that would support the theory that these had some kind of activity going on inside. If they're,
I mean, they could have been a racetrack, they could have been running, they could have been chasing animals, they could have been chasing each other.
Right.
There's no evidence for use of wheels before 500 BC or whatever in Britain, but I find it hard to believe that would work, actually, given that people who migrated to Britain migrated from the Middle East, from an area where they did have wheels.
Good point. So there very likely could have been wheels.
Chariot racing.
Yeah. All right, well, we just covered another quarter of the circle, correct?
Yeah.
Let's pause here and go on to the next quarter.